It's actually the coach has an office over there too, so he really likes Ben's personality. Ben brought that from Mexico, basically.
For sure, it's super awesome having that.
And then ironically, that his coach goes to Mexico, right?
That's right, heck yeah.
Hey guys, good evening. I apologize for the quality of my voice in advance. I was actually much worse this morning, but thank you, Hayden, for the awesome job always with everything in the sound system. It really sounds great. Thank you. Especially for people watching online later, if people have been following this here, this is the finale of the Lost History of Pullman. It's the last HIPPO lecture of the semester. I don't think anyone's new. I think I look around and see most of you have been here the whole time, or etc. But if anyone is new to the story, Harold Bly Tornado, who is a fictional professor at the University of Pullman on the Palouse, discovers this Lost History of Pullman archive beneath his feet, beneath Pullman and Moscow actually, and sets about unraveling the story. So we've done the last 5 chapters. Concurrently, he's at one point locked in a bathroom at Bruce Books, which is a real bookshop in downtown Pullman, and being chased by all these different sorority girls, led by this main girl, Allie. And in the last episode, they had chased him, or he had fled from them up to the water tower in Pullman. And the whole joke being kind of where he finished last month, he's like a reverse Rapunzel. And this is where the story's gonna pick up now. It's been back and forth with the chronology, where it's, Harry in 2025 and looking back at like 1880 and 1340 and all this, talking animals, teleportation. Today, the whole story in this last chapter is the final chapter, where both these stories come together, and it's revealed his whole long search for the lost king of Pullman, what happens to his friend Count Ken from the Kibby Dome, and all that. So thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Chapter 6, the final chapter, an epilogue or a postscript, if you wish, dated 1887-2025. I don't have the heart to cover these 138 years from the Great Cataclysm to July 4th, now, today, in much more than the briefest notes. I want to make it over to Sunnyside Park for the fireworks, and they start in less than 2 hours, 10 p.m. But more than that, it's because the story, grand and glorious though it was, is a tragedy of the most heartbreaking proportions. Also, you know this story, modern Pullmanites. This is your story, the official one. And what more can I add to that than which you've been taught your entire life? You know it well, we all do. 1887 up to now, it is what it is. LLK PBC9. Long live the long-lost king of Pullman, Butch Kugarius IX. Well, I guess one thing before I turn off the recording, I did forget to mention the tenure of the great football coach, philosopher king. This, of course, deals with Mike Leach's time here, 2012 through 2019. Mike Leach, poet, football genius, a comedian of rare gifts. He also knew everything, absolutely everything about Old Pullman. Talked to him a few times before he left for Mississippi State. Loved him so much, invited him on a personal tour of the underground archives. We once sat down there all night playing Scrabble, drinking pots after pots of tea, talking football, talking life. I turned off the recording for the final time. The Lost History of Pullman was complete, the story told. Now all that remained was the publication, dissemination, and illumination of a previously sleepwalking public soon to be jolted awake by the reality of their past here in Pullman on the Palouse. I climbed down the water tower and walked down Spring Street back into downtown. I walked with the slow purposefulness of a man going to meet his fate. By the time I turned left past Roost Coffee Shop, I abandoned all hope that I might see the Sunnyside Hill fireworks that night, but I had made my peace with everything. I had emailed a copy of the Lost History of Pullman to 5 people, including Plump, Bee, Hive, Bumble, and Count Ken of the Kibby Dome, me assuming, perhaps hoping against all hope, that he was still alive. And most importantly, to my editor from the academic press that had put out my Francis Parkman Prize runner-up, Out of the Darkness, I First Feel the Tiny Teeth. If they and my advisor thought that book had made a splash, well, wait till they got a hold of this one. I arrived onto Main Street, and the silence, the stillness was eerie, to say the least. I've been to a few ghost towns in my time. Atlanta, Idaho, without question, my favorite. But neither Atlanta nor any one of the other ones could hold a candle to the absolute nothingness all about me on this late July 4th evening. I could hear my inhales and exhales clearly, and the crunch of loose pebbles beneath my feet. Bruce Books was an outlier in being open on the holiday, but even now, it too was closed, and anyone who was anyone was setting up blankets on Sunnyside Hill, getting ready for the show. And then the music started. Dancing Feet by Kygo featuring DNCE. I don't know where the music was coming from, but it felt like surround sound. And I was stuck in place right in the middle of Main Street. After about 10 seconds, all the shops and the stores and the boutiques opened up, and out came lines and lines of dancing college girls. It looked like the end scene choreography of a Bollywood movie. They filed out into the street all around me, in front, behind, side to side, dancing in perfect, I'm telling you, perfect rhythm. Every single one of these girls, maybe it was 1,000, seemed like a professional dancer. A shudder then coursed down my spine. I heard Count Ken's words from the first night at the Underground Archive. Now we're really cooked. Allie, and Harper, along with most, if not all of these girls, were sorority sisters, members of Greek life. What if they had found out about my research and deeply regretted the embarrassing defeats the frat bro empire had suffered at the hands of Butch Gregarious IV in the 18th century? What if they had decided that punishing me personally would be a way to mitigate some of the disgrace their fraternity brothers in spirit had suffered centuries ago in old Pullman? The song was being played on a loop. They were still dancing, still perfectly in lockstep with every note of the music. Finally, I saw them. 3 people at the head of this impromptu parade: Ali, Count Ken, he's alive, and another woman I did not recognize. They were the only ones not dancing. They were marching in place. Count Ken every now and then pumped his raised right arm in the asking an 18-wheeler driver to honk his horn as he passes by style. Ken, I noticed right away, looked great. He looked amazing, simply incredible. Normally, and I mean here, the Ken I knew before looked well. I mean, he was your typical, even sub-run-of-the-mill, typical late 50s guy, but you understand what I mean. Anyways, he looked wonderful. And I realized, as I had come to love Ali in the romantic way, I also loved Ken as a brother, maybe a father. Before, when I was sure he was gone, I had wept and wept and wept. Count Ken was surely dead. Long live the Count of the Kibby Dome. Sobs, I bid, etc. But now, yes, he was alive. The Count yet lives. Yes, Virginia, my darling, there is a Count Ken of the Kibby Dome. Eventually, the music and the dancing stopped. The girls formed a grand rectangular phalanx around me and moved about 5 steps closer in unison, like a well-disciplined elite fighting force of Amazons. So this was it, I thought. So here, and this is how it ends. Ali, Ken, and the other woman walked up to me. Ken, I blurted out. It's you, right? Yes, he replied, looking tan and fit and about 15 years younger. Even his voice sounded deeper, clearer, more sonorous. Harold, my boy, my king. It's been but a few hours, but these hours have passed like centuries. How are you? I struggled to find the words. I'm good, yeah, trying to, I don't know, trying to figure all this out. I don't know. What happened to you? I'd like you to meet Delphine, Ken said, introducing the woman to me. She smiled and gave a slight wave. It's crazy, Harry. I don't know where to begin, but, well, I was captured by the girls right in front of the bridge trying to get away. Yeah, I saw that, I replied. And so he continued, they took me away and brought me here to downtown, and pretty quickly the consensus was that I needed a lot of help. With what? My appearance, my vibe, my riz, the lack of it, I mean. So anyways, the girls, all of them, Ken motioned to the crowd all around us with both his hands. They took a vote and diagnosed me as such. I was beset with a very serious case of big unk energy, which means they explained something like I came off as the prototypical and stereotypical creepy uncle who is out of shape and probably doesn't know when to say when it comes to alcohol, and who you can always count on to say inappropriate things at family gatherings. They put their best minds to the solution here. They were really trying to help me. It actually moved me to tears. And finally, one of the girls came up with a solution. According to a very old fairy tale, he winked at me in that knowing way, in a way that said, perhaps holdover from old Pullman itself, who knows? I'm pretty sure this girl, like just about everyone else, knows nothing about old Pullman. According to a very old fairy tale, if a beautiful librarian kisses an older man who is as ugly and rotund as a frog, he will be transformed into a strapping prince-like younger man. It worked. We're getting married next month, Delphine said, showing me the ring and explaining that she'd recently been promoted to head librarian at the Neal Public Library in town. Congratulations, I said. That's incredible, so happy for you. Important tidbit though, Doc, Ken said. You're the lost king of Pullman, actually. Being 100% serious, Your Highness. You're Butch Kugarius the Ninth. Cool, huh? Haha, I said dryly. Good one. I'm not kidding, Harry, Ken said. Tell him, ladies. The crowd of college girls at once burst out into a chant. Long live the lost King Butch. On that finger put a ring, a crutch. I'm gonna need to keep from going weak at the knees. Butch Kugarius the Ninth, of him more, yes please. Long live the long lost king. Long live the long lost king. They chanted this one more time in unison, then silence descended upon the town again. I don't understand, I said to Ken. Do you remember our first meeting, he asked? Yeah. Do you remember I told you then? Yeah, kind of, yeah, the gist of it. Here it is, verbatim, he said, pulling out a sheet of paper. I record every conversation I have with anyone on my phone, and I transcribe it by hand later like a Dark Ages monk. Call it my hobby if you like. I unfolded the paper and read it silently to myself. Ken, isn't it beautiful? This is my field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. No. If you build it, he will come. Who's they? Who's he? Ken, I don't know, but I believe. Harry, believe what? Ken, you gotta believe. I tell you, maybe it's love. You believe in love. Maybe it's the sound of frogs being frogs, the way your pencil drags across a piece of paper as you dot I's and cross T's. Maybe you believe in democracy, dictatorship, political polls, or the political service, or the postal service. Maybe you believe in believing. Harry, well, what does this have to do with why we're here? Ken, I told you I don't know. I have no idea. Come on, this way. Well, Harry, Your Highness, Ken said, I did know. I knew all along. I guess I gave it away to you a bit. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. When during one of those meetings at the Underground Archive, I told you I thought you were the one that was supposed to come. Ha, I didn't think, I knew. Harry, Your Highness, I thought to myself. So I guess all those women who did not appreciate my dating app handle, another prince named Harry, had taken the L after all. Not only was I royalty, like Prince Harry, I was actually higher and better. I'm King Harry Butch Kugarius the Ninth. Take that, Meredith, and your parting shot leaving mid-dinner on our first date, as if you could ever be a prince like him. So funny life, how it works out like that. One day you're writing a book about a lost, mythological king from a golden age that would make King Arthur himself green with envy. The next day it turns out you are that king's heir. Maybe life really is like a big box of chocolates, who knows? Ken proceeded to explain to me, very well I might add, with precision and not leaving out a single detail, all the while avoiding being unnecessarily long-winded, how blank and blank had led to me taking that fateful bike ride on the Chipman Trail, destination Kibidome, and how it was not on a random whim at all, but very much part of some hidden plan, because of blank and blank and blank, especially how I'd been adopted, and my real last name was Marmalade, Chadamus Marmalade, my birth name, and how, quote, many, just so many super lots, tons of huge, enormous number of sketchy bad guys who were also very bad actors and just very, very bad, had conspired to keep my true identity as Butch Kugarius the Ninth hidden, just as they had tried to keep hidden the existence of the great city and nation they had tried to erase from history altogether. But right wins out, and mysterious and hidden are the ways of the Lord. God works in mysterious ways. Behold the windy path this had all taken, Ken concluded with. But now, it was up to you, Your Highness, to set everything right. God bless you, sire. May your reign be long and prosperous. I took all this in for a bit, chewed on it silently, and then turned to Allie and said, will you marry me? She started crying, nodding her affirmation with aggressive head nods a few times as hot tears ran down her cheeks and pulled over her hands, which were cupping her mouth. She then jumped into my arms and kissed me. I was thinking in real time, this is awesome. This is going really great. The same day you think you're walking to your end via an army of sorority girls, you find out you're actually a king, and these girls are part of your army and your subjects, by the way. And the most beautiful one of them all is going to be your wife, the future Queen of Pullman, a worthy successor herself to Helen of Troy of Idaho, the rose of old Pullman and the Palouse. Allie then said a bunch of very, very sweet things, and just made me feel like $1 million. But I couldn't help noticing that all her professions, there was not a singular like or And so I asked her, so like, what was up with that? Oh, my love, she said, kissing me again. That's just, well, I just think, or I guess I thought, that was something guys prefer, you know? I think men, especially now in the postmodern age, find a spacey and seemingly airheaded, prototypical college girl to be something in the mold, albeit imperfectly, of the age-old damsel in distress. All men have something within themselves wanting to jump into danger and rescue their women. We don't have a lot of talking wolves and dragons nowadays, but if a girl acts dumb enough, the man can still get that fix. I have a verified 171 IQ. I speak 5 languages. All throughout college, that, being my authentic self, got me nowhere with men, good guys. I'd actually be interested in dating. They were just too intimidated, so I better act dumb. Does that make sense? Yes, I said, it makes perfect sense. And you liked or did not like when I spoke like that? I loved it. Really? I absolutely loved it. I was all about it. So, she said, do you want me to totally keep speaking like that forever? Both of us started laughing. It was a great moment. Laughing at the same time, another quick kiss, more laughter. No, I said, I want you exactly as you are. Speak normal, just be you. And I want you exactly as you are, she said, Your Highness. We laughed again, and then Ken spoke once more. What is your first command, good king? I don't know, I said. Then turning to Allie, I'd really like to go over to Sunnyside Park to watch the fireworks. Would you like to accompany me? Allie laughed. I can't imagine wanting to do anything else in the whole wide world. Cool, I said. Then to Ken, I guess my first command is everyone get out of here. And hey, y'all go home, have a good night. Nighty-night, don't let the bed bugs bite. Can I, asking Ken, can I do that? Can I command everyone like that? Your every wish, sire, Count Ken replied. Bowing is our command. Excellent, I replied. Okay, but I gotta say, I guess speaking to Allie, Ken, even Delphine at the same time, maybe just speaking out into the now sunset air, I was really worried there for a moment, running from you guys, and then resolving to come down here from the water tower. Babe, Allie said, twisting her face into a pouty type expression. What were you worried about? What was all that running away about exactly? Well, you did all corner me into a locked bathroom and then send a mob clamoring after me. Allie laughed, true. Worried about, I said, maybe more than anything else, asking myself, thinking aloud, in a calm moment of reflection. It was the first time I had felt calm, could think clearly in what felt like a while. Wow, I guess it ran the full gamut from everyone in the crowd wanting to take a picture with me and total elimination. Babe, what? Allie said, more exclaimed, before bursting into laughter, having to cover her mouth with both hands. Yeah, sorry, I said. I guess this whole research thing has just gotten to me. I haven't been drinking any water today either, probably a combination of both. My mind poof, well, anyways. You all can go. See ya, I said to the crowd. Ken spoke again. Don't you want to know what the price would have been, he asked me. The price? Yes. Like I said earlier, you're the king. Your wish is our command. You rule Pullman by fiat. Say it, it's done. The crowd will disperse and go, and as you have said, Your Majesty. But are you curious as to what you would have had to do were you not king? These women just found out that you are Butch Cogary's the Ninth Harry. Truly about 7 minutes or so before you arrived, to their credit, immediately, as loyal daughters of the Palouse, they pledged fealty to the pumpkin throne on which you sit. But recall, they were chasing you long before they found out you were royalty. They wanted to trap you here in downtown Pullman, here as we stand now, and make you choose one of 2 options before they let you leave. Go on, I said. Your fears were indeed correct, Count Ken explained, to an extent. Not the latter option. Please, my boy. Talk about hyperbolic paranoia and the like. But the pictures, that one, yeah. There would have been a, quote, selfie parade. Take a selfie with each and every one of the 922 young women here. Option 2, the Mackenzie Memorandum. What's the Mackenzie Memorandum, I asked him. In lieu of taking a selfie with all the women, you'd have to hug all the women named Mackenzie 10 times each. How many Mackenzies are here? 52. Well, so to be clear, 52 women named Mackenzie would line up, I'd hug them 10 times in a row, assembly line style, 520 hugs total. Yes. No, I'm good, I said. Now that I'm king, I don't have to do any of those. I think I'll just go with general dismissal. Thanks for letting me know what the 2 options were, though, Count Ken. The 922 photo selfie parade, hard pass. But prior to meeting Allie, I would have been all about the Mackenzie Memorandum. That one sounds great. But now, having met my future queen, well, you understand, she's the only woman I want in my arms. And besides, I do not, under any circumstances, want to be late for the fireworks. Everyone get out of here. Go home and have a great, just amazing night. I send you on my way with my highest imperial blessing. Allie, the future Empress of Pullman, never will I tire singing her praises, my queen. And I made it to Sunnyside Park 10 minutes before the show began. We are to be married at the Vatican by Pope Leo XIV, the first American Pope, sometime next year, early 2026. As to how and what connection, Ken knew a guy who 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 knew a guy from Milwaukee, whose dad used to hang out at a bar on the south side of Chicago, whose son, the south side Chicago guy's son, played baseball with Pope Leo XIV when he was simply known as Robert Prevost. Apparently, young Robert could get his fastball into the mid-90s with, quote, filthy cutting action, and developed a sinker that MLB scouts were already calling a down-the-road plus pitch. God had other plans. The priesthood came calling and he answered. This South Chicago guy said that while Prevost was in school at Villanova, the baseball team tried multiple times, unsuccessfully, to get him to join the team. For, quote, even messing around, playing like pickup baseball in the park, he'd sit 106, 108 effortlessly. It's insane, man. But it looks like he made the right choice, though, going priesthood over MLB, end quote. But so long story short, Ken made a call to the Southside guy who knows? But the end result is Pope Leo said, yes, I'll marry them. I'll personally officiate the wedding. Facts, I'm Catholic. I converted from nothingism as much as atheism 3 years ago. Allie is Catholic. We're getting married by the Pope in Rome next year. I'm a queen, she's a king. This is awesome. Will I keep my job as associate professor at the University of the Pullman? Yes, probably. I think I will. I love being a professor. But they better promote me to full professor on the combined strength of my second book, this Lost History of Pullman, and also being a king. Sometime during the show, I looked over at her, my queen. She never looked so beautiful as in that moment. I'd been thinking that each successive moment, she only kept getting more and more beautiful. She leaned into me and I into her, and we met in the middle, locking into a prolonged kiss as the final portion of fireworks went into hyperdrive, rapid explosions over our heads on this day, the 4th of July, 2025. And I am here, we are all here in Pullman, Washington.